Okay, I think that's gonna do it. Pushing there, and I see it over here. All right. I think I'm online, and I think I've got the multi-stream going this time. Hopefully that's working. I don't see one of these pumping through. We are here. Make sure we have the proper one transitioned over. And let's kick that on as well. So that should be going here. I can see two streams, and let's go. Oh, mellow greetings, engineers. Welcome back to another time-lapse build. Let me zoom over here real fast. I was working on this ship, which somebody had a question of. Bottennapp should be in the description below. I tried to do a faithful recreation of his ship and figure out some design language and what it was really trying to be. And I kind of took a lot of inspiration from the rear thrusters here, thinking that it really just yelled Colonial Fleet Battlestar to me. And I took that and ran with it a lot. And I ended up making something that was very much like the Battlestar Pegasus. And hit it up with a bunch of guns, both the turreted versions and these rail guns for fixed forward firing. But even this ship is just a rough frame. It doesn't have any internal mechanics. It's not going to actually work and do anything. And these bays here are supposed to be the lifeblood of the Battlestar. They're supposed to live to deploy fighter wings of Vipers, and these are extremely small. And really, this ship should be scaled up to be whatever size that you need to appropriately deploy your fighter wings. And if this were the size of the Viper, then that ship needs to be a lot bigger. But I just got some feedback back from Bottennapp, and he was saying that he was going for a heavy industrial refinery look for a survival home base and wanted to be able to protect itself. The design just kept going, and this is what we got. And I was just thinking about some of the other designs that could also be inspiring to this. And we're going to go build one of them right now. So I'll hop back over here and pull out my default colors. Go to white plastic. We can pull off a few blocks from over here, and then we can start building. We'll pull this out. That last ship got pretty big, so we're going to pull back a ways. And then I'll probably build this up. That should be at least somewhat good enough for what I'm trying to do. He had a central connector in here. I'm going to abandon that altogether because we're going to need some more space for what I'm thinking of. And I have seen pictures of, I don't think the ship's even been released, the Pioneer from Star Citizen. And that to me kind of lands as a planetary terraforming inhabitation ship. So we're going to start by laying out the back thrusters again. And this is going to kind of set the size of the ship overall. And this is probably going to be woefully undersized for what it actually should be, but still more than enough for what we need on a colony ship. But again, I'm going to keep with some of these same design aesthetics that we've had from the first ship and continue those through. I think that might be too far apart for what I want on the first set of thrusters, because I don't want them to be quite so wide. I'm thinking this one is going to have, that's probably far enough. It's going to be very large and flat and have the ability for you to get underneath the ship. Almost like it could land somewhere and then you could deploy some vehicles from the underside of it. Let's put... I don't know if I want all of these in the same array. Maybe these ones could go forward a bit more. There we go. I think that can be okay. And I might even want to, well, one, I'll get rid of all of this HUD clutter. I might even want to make these a little closer to each other. We'll see, because making them staggered apart already gives a lot of interest to it. But I'll keep that there for now. These are going to be the underside portion of it. And I really don't want to go any lower than this on the ship. At least as far as whatever this back area I'm thinking of is. Because I want this to almost be an arch up and over so that it can land on the moon, or I guess any of the moons really, because I wouldn't land anywhere with ion thrusters. I prefer hydrogen myself for their maximum power output, but we will go with ions because you went with ions. And we're going to make this design work the best that we can. We'll go back down here and we'll throw down some more ion thrusters. And the reason I'm starting with giant thrusters is because these are the largest pieces and everything else is going to have to work around them. And that's fine because we want things to be able to work around them. I don't need to be able to have any little small pieces that can't be moved, but these big ones just have to absolutely be there. I kind of want that to go and this to go, and I want, just kind of looking at these things as I'm putting them around here, what needs to go where so that I can have some shapes, some interesting shapes, and not keep everything perfectly blocky. I'm trying to avoid that block look while I'm largely using some of these blocks here. So if that's the lowest those are going to go, we'll put you here. I can always put a bank of horizontal ones there. I don't need them to absolutely be the large kind. Although I did manage to leave a space here for me for some large ones. Although with these particular ones, I think the horizontal orientation looks the best. But let's think about this here for a second. If I'm going for the Star Citizen Pioneer's got giant outrigger vertical thrusters. So if that's the case, I can put these guys here and even this here. And I may even, let's get rid of this whole wall. Because I can give some interest with the outriggers providing a lot of vertical thrust. And also, if that's the case, let's see, because this is going to be the outermost of the outermost. And I'll pull that forward. And just pull this bit forward too, because I don't want this to just be a solid block. I kind of want it to come out, so I need to build some of that shape now. Let's start shaping that in here, because this is a very large flat piece. This bit on the inside can almost be the internal bay area. So this is where you would land and deploy ships from. And if that's the case, I think that this needs to be wider and more squat, maybe. maybe just wider. So what if we just came wider off of this? We can, let's come out this way, and we can have an underarching piece that comes down. Kind of like a, there's the, let me pull up a picture of a stealth ship. I think it was. Let me tab over here. It's a stealth ship that kind of had this under... The one I'm thinking of is from James Bond. That's the one right there. Images, stealth ship. There we go. I'm going to come over here and desktop, capture, move that over. So this is kind of what I'm thinking of for a part of the design. I guess it's more of this shape here, and then I almost want it to come back under. Almost, I guess, like this, it would have a hydrofoil or something on it. Because this is when it's cruising, is my understanding, when it's going pretty fast, like here, with the hydrofoils. So I kind of want that, but it's gonna land on the bit. Or maybe, here we go, Space Invader as the design reference language for it. Is another thing that has a similar shape to that. So let's... I'm going to keep that in mind too, because I think that's going to be the shape idea for the language here. We can pull that backwards a bit. I may even leave it in these blocky bits like this. Up. What if we just did 3? And then we can even do the 45s coming in. And you're connected up there. That's actually 45s up to that way. And then this could be largely a main flat deck. Because if this is going to be a colony ship and it's going to be landing somewhere, you can deploy ground vehicles from the underside, and then you can have whatever aerial vehicles land up top, and that way they're not competing for space. This looks like it needs to come much, much wider. Or I could slant it out to be wider. If I left this as is, and I did 2x1s coming out instead of these 45s, because I still want there to be a bit like this. I want something sturdy for you to land on, which can be this piece easily. We're going to have some angled bit coming up. Do think it needs to come out a little bit more. But if this just goes out and back, I think that looks kind of boring, so we'll do 2x1s on the way back. Two by ones here. And since that's the height there, so we'll nix all this and rebuild it down. That comes out a bit more, and that's fine as well, because we can just push this shape a bit more. And this also gives us a lot more internal volume as well as we're doing this. And we can put our industry in there or whatever else that we could think of. Because essentially this colony ship would have to bring whatever we wanted to take with us as we go somewhere else. Or it can even have colossal bays on the outside that open up, and you can start digging and doing whatever you want. Oh, that's a interesting concept too. We'll pull... That's going to disappear. Let's just get these big shapes in place first. And I think this Pioneer needs to be absolutely gargantuan. So, sorry about your small ship idea. Or maybe I should make it a smaller ship. I think it's getting too big too fast already, as large ships tend to. So, let's... how would we make it smaller? I'll frame this out just a little bit more so I can see just how insane it looks like it needs to be to fit the proportions. And then we'll kind of shrink it. Because if it's meant to be a starter ship itself, this is pretty big. Although any large grid ship that claims to be a starter ship is probably an easy start. Way too big. And you can fit a ton of things in here. So I'm thinking already this dwarfs the size of the others, and it's going to utilize all of this volume. So we have to take these wing bits and push them inside quite a bit. And I have to redo the thrusters, but it's good that we could see where they were at. That way we know where things are going to fit roughly. Where's that connected to? You're not connected anywhere. Okay. So you're gone. You guys are connected. That's fine. You can go too. The rest of you are all connected because I wanted to scooch these in. We'll scooch that in even further so we can put our big ion thrusters in there in a gap. And then these guys, what did I delete? Two of the width off of there. So if I go 1, 2 off of these widths, or maybe even one more. Maybe even one more. Let's just put this back together first. We're going to cut you and paste you here. Why won't you paste? There you go. And then same thing with you. Cut and paste over here. That makes it slightly more narrow. But what I'm going to do is carve out... We lost our mirrors. I'm going to carve out these guys. The lower thruster can go in here, pressing forward. And I can have a higher thruster here on the inset. And that way it looks like I'm using up more of the space. And I could put like a jump drive or something. Another central looking feature in there. Let's put this guy back in. You can bulge out just a bit. And what if you were more recessed? What if you sat lower down here? That way you can sit in there for a 3. So now I've got the bottom ones protruding a bit. What if I just make them all protrude a bit equally? Then I can remove that. I'm not even on that same central pillar I was before. I do want... There's my central pillar. Just so I can have that coming off. I don't necessarily want this width out here. I'm just going to get rid of it for now. That way we've got that design language there. And we could almost throw those thrusters inside. Pointing inside. And that way you've got a massive dead zone in there. Because I don't really want something that looks like a thruster coming out right here. But I could. Let's pull this across because I'm going to start severing these beams just to connect them to stuff. There we go. And like I said last time, we'll just cut and paste and put things where we need to, or where we think they need to go. And then we can always adjust. That way we don't get vapor lock for whatever we're building. Just make a decision and go with it and adjust as necessary. That can go out there. So we've got some lateral thrust. And then I want something even bulkier. So the engine is 3 wide. We'll pull this out just a bit. Because I want to build something around it to make it a little more beefy. It's already a beefy engine. I think that needs to go right here, actually. Just because this back part is going to look so solid and heavy. And it should be. Which means we can put the horizontal thrusters in between these two big vertical ones. We'll go here. That way we can have space back there. Is that too far down? That should be good right there. Because this is going to have some sort of housing around it to make it look bulkier and bigger than what it is. And I can shape that as necessary. And maybe that's what you had going on with your industrial one. Those little side pieces. Maybe those were supposed to be some sort of rotating thruster. But my mock-up of yours definitely did not rotate. I will sever this here because we want a horizontal thruster. That horizontal thruster? No, it would not go there. I do want this to come through. This one too. How about we pull there. I can have a place to mount it. One large horizontal ion thruster. In the body, it'll kind of bulge out a little bit, and that'll be fine. And that'll come through to here. And this beam can come across. And this is more of our beam. And then we want another one of these guys coming through. So if we stopped right there, also stop right here. This is the surrounding thruster, thruster, thruster. Yeah, that should do it. Not the atmo. There. Then we can build our frame out around it as well. And I'm leaving a little space in between there just to make it look like it should be rotating. It won't because this will be static, but we're making things look massive and impressive. And I can also put lateral thrusters, and I'm going to put the upward-facing thrusters in here. So that way it has all the directions it needs, and things like this can just be supplemental. As I can do, let's see. little war fighters. There we go. So these guys can sit in here. Where would you best sit? Here, maybe? And then you can even act as a braking thrust on here. If I get rid of you, you can be braking thrusters. And if I rotate these to the side, those could be horizontal. Not going to have a ton of braking thrust, but that's something. A little something. And then I can fill in the rest later. But now back to framing this guy out, because we are huge. We are absolutely huge here. Let's drag this forward, because this is our underside coming through. And I do want this to come through this way as well. Let's snip that and triangle there, which means you guys are gone. And then these pieces can go away too. Even though we've made it narrower on the inside, I can even make this narrower too. Because it's almost like a pontoon right now. And I think I should pull these in, and that way I have even more space to work with underneath the craft. So let's do that. I don't think that'll like it if I just cut and remove it. So I'll just delete this way. Delete all of this here. And if I make... How far down is this? 1, 2. What if we just did you? 3, 3. So I'm getting a little bit more space out of it. But not the absolute most. But 1 block on either side is 2 blocks. It's another 5 meters that I can work with. Then any of this other stuff in here can be actual engineering sections or refineries. Anything that I need. This whole part right here can actually be blocked off, because this could be storage for whatever vehicles need to be craned over and deployed down here, as this sits on these giant pontoons whenever it makes planetfall. Let's make sure this gets some sort of shape in it here. And we can even fill in this. And I'll probably make that round looking. I just want this to look more solid than it actually is. We don't actually have to fill in all these pieces yet. So there we go. Maybe this just needs to be half plate on this guy. It's because it looks like it's sticking out too far, not as streamlined as it could be. Because we are very, very wide. And I don't even know if I want it to be that wide. I think the Pioneer is extremely wide and stout. And I don't want it to be ultra, ultra wide. So what if we cut this off? We get a little shorter, which is better in my opinion. Drag these forward. Because we are absolutely massive. And I'm just going to run with this. I'm going to run away with these shapes in here now. Because I'm liking where this is going. That can stay up there. I want to pull this backwards somehow. And I need to do it with all these 2x1s that I've made in here. Let's drag these 2x1s forward. And that way we visually seal off some of this top portion of the ship. And then I can always cut things back to give more of an angular shape. This thing is also going to be used for planetary habitation and industry. So I can give some semblance of that by having refineries or other things poking out through this large flat area, as opposed to this large flat area here, which absolutely needs to be a large flat area. And probably here, it just needs to be completely covered. Oops, you did not like that. Just try it again. We go to all of there. And I'm blocking all of that off so we can land on it. So I can have industrial pieces up here on the one side. I can even make something, I was about to say, industry on one side, habitation on the other. I'll probably just make it largely mirrored, but I also can make something that looks like a landing pad, so I can quote-unquote reclaim some of the space here, or even make an internal massive elevator so that it can bring cargo down into it. Let's do that. We will stay shorter over here. That's fine. So we're just big on the outside. And then we'll kind of do this little taper walk back that we're doing here. We break off some of this here. I kind of like that. Although visually we did lose a bunch of the internal stuff from what that time lapse is going to see. But oh well, that's not the biggest important thing. Let's try to use... I rather like how blatant and imposing this is. I might even just leave it that way, just how we have it. Because it makes it look like there's more stuff in here. That it's not just some flat panel coming through. And this is absolutely where you could put massive communications, or even if you wanted all the gyros or jump drives and stuff in here. All of these things can come in here. Crew quarters, residence, whatever you need can go up in those spaces. Let's block them off for right now. That's fine. We'll leave those open areas. Close this off visually. And even through here, I'll bring this pillar all the way through. Or support. It pretty much goes all the way in the back. Block you off too. And we'll flatten out some of that other stuff. That's a nice 3x3. Why don't we just put a jump drive in there? Because that's exactly where it looks like you should go. I like that. And then you definitely need more stuff back here to support those thrusters in their looks. They're not as big as they could be, but I'm going to go with your 4-thruster design layout here. On one of these sides, we're going to need something so we can see. Let's put in one final set of thrusters. What if we do you here? Big warfare thrusters. That's too low? Yeah, we're too low all over. There. Yeah. And then we can kind of frame you out again, just like the other one. And ions in here, we had... You were up one, was it? Yeah. Reverse, lateral, and downward thrusters. And I'll think of some shape to do for those so it looks a little more tasteful than the big chunky blocks that we have right there. So let's close this part off. I think if we've got all of this, I want to say the Pioneer had this too. It's almost like a giant rear bridge for all of this. But I kind of want these engines to stay there. I kind of want some sort of radiative cooling area back here. 2 and 2 on either side. And then we can have... What if we carved another space in here for a jump drive? We'll just use our big features so that we know where everything else can go. We'll put that guy right there. So that would tell me that I don't want anything beyond like this line here. So if I were going to do a landing pad of some sort, do I want it to sit up? It can't really. I mean, it could. What if I have you there? So that'll be danger close to a thruster, but we could have a landing pad here. And if I wanted to, I can angle parts of it around. And let's go to our stair real fast. 3 stairs. So that could be a landing pad for a small ship. Ooh, this is tinier than I thought, but that's fine. That can be a landing pad for a small ship there, and I could have probably here would be a good place. I mean, it would have to be there anyways, for either these sections to open up, like unfold. Sorry, this is getting really complicated, but really cool. I'm going to do that. You are going to unfold through here. So a space and unfold. On my survival ships, and when I say that, I'm more or less referring to the public server survival. I really hate having any kind of subgrids, just because the server doesn't like to play well with them for the most part. I don't think you connected. I disconnected these guys. Okay, you reconnected. Good. So this whole piece can swing down. I think that'll be cool. The whole thing can swing down, and then you have a nice gentle slope up, and we can just articulate this bit by itself. Then we could just make a giant hole for cargo to come in, which would mean we could have another small landing ramp over here. Did this go already down? No, it did not. I don't even know if these landing ramps are the same. They are not. I will make you extend forward one. And you did not extend to the rear one, because you had 3 in the middle. But I'll make you extend to the rear. So you're slightly bigger ramp, it looks like. And I can do that by getting rid of these stairs and make it just that much bigger overall. And I can change these blocks as necessary. So you're just going to be a smaller ramp. You can come that much wider. That'll be fine. And that way I've got smaller features in that front, and they kind of get bigger and more massive as they come to the rear. That way we have a shape to look forward. Okay, so now we have to do something with this to make it the mobile door I was just envisioning. Merge blocking would be nice, but that's not going to happen. So, ew, hinges. Ew, hinges. And then this is also going to have to hinge here too. Hinge through there, which means now I got to get complicated with subgrids. And I didn't even get to industrial bits pointing out, because this would have been a good place to have just a industrial refinery or something sticking out. But maybe that's what... No, because I want this to look massive, like it's the connection point for those thrusters, that it needs that strong mount. Let's go here. Find some hinges. This is not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to put subgrids all over the place, because it's going to take a little longer than what I really wanted to spend for it. But we're going to make some hinges here. You guys are facing the wrong way. I don't think you really care which way you're facing, though. The tack is supposed to be negative. Just turned off my mirror mode so I can make sure all of these are the same. Get rid of that and that, because this is a free-floating piece. Get this hinge part. Then the real question will be, will you let me merge any of these things together? I want you, but I want you to rotate so that you sit in there nicely, and you're not going to do it. No, you don't look like you want me to do it at all. So I'll probably just delete this anyways. Oh, you think your merges the ship. Oh, and you are. That's why you wouldn't let me do it. Now, I'm not. There. There. Now I can do this bit more easily. And I do need a reactor or battery or something. For now, ease of access, I'll leave this up top. And I do need a reactor or battery or something. No, you've already got a battery, because you've got a battery from the underside. But I want these hinges. You can all attach. And that upright position is really just going to be the lock position for you guys, is what I'm thinking. And then here, yeah, that's just going to be the close position, because I do want those to detach so you have access in here. So if that's the case, let's mess around with some hinges some more. I'm going to put you negative outside and get rid of those parts. And hopefully you did not duplicate. You did not, because this should also be free floating. Get rid of those parts. And then, actually you are part of the ship, so you can also attach. You get a part, and you get a part. You get a part. And I'm doing it this way because if I just place those hinges, the hinge part would not actually be attached to anything. It just looks like it is. And I'm not detecting these other hinges. These hinges on here. Because you are indeed separated. So let's find... I can use battery for this, because you do need to attach, but you're not going to move. U hinges. What I should do is... left... label everything as you go. Then over here, it means you are also not attached. And I can label you guys now that I see you, because I can't label the other ones. You're going to be right. Now you all are technically part of the ship. And you can attach too. Let's attach. And then one more hinge here, but that would already be bent. So what I would really want is here and here for the hinges, and here and here for your parts. Let's do that over here as well. And I don't have build vision or anything to label these better, so I'm gonna have to kind of figure it out as we go along. Where's my negative side? Which one do I want to be the negative side? That'll be fine. Get rid of your parts. Give me your part. Part there, part there. Undo the mirror mode because you are in the wrong orientation. I just got rid of the parts that I did need. Negative goes down. And I need this block back in place on both of them. Wow, I misclicked that pretty well. Go back to our hinge. And that should do it for us. I think at least. Because that should be attached to the main body now. Yeah. Now let's see what happens when we go and zoom out all the way here. We do see lots of hinges, and we can attach them all. Fantastic. So even though I don't have build vision to find these, I can still find them by the build info. So down here, this one I've got selected just says hinge 11, but I can see I'm over here on my left side, and this is the lower hinge. So if I do left, lower bay. Hinge 1. And then I can just try to find the next one, which just happens to be right there. That looks to be the right upper side. These ones, are you here? Yes. This one is at least over here on the left side too. And no, can't tell. Let's move so we can see more hinge. Nope, nope. I'm gonna call that one right. Upper bay, hinge 2. And I think your friend there was next to you. Call you 1. 1 for the forward and 2 for the rear. This one is on the left side. Left. Upper bay, hinge 2. And now we're just missing the last 2. These should be the lower ones. Right, lower bay. And then you can be hinge 2. And that should at least help me work these a little bit better. I can turn all of hinge 2 to be off. And that way only 1 does anything. Every single one of you can go off. Every single one of you can have no torque, no braking torque, no velocity, and no limits. So only the hinge 1s will do anything for me. And if I look at the hinge 1s, actually these are probably best done with hinge limits. I'm also missing some 1s. I should have 3 1s apiece. You don't have a 1. You've got a 1. There we go. Now I go 1. There we go. Now I've got 6. You all claim to be set at a 0 angle. You're all attached. That's definitely not a 0 down there. But I could now potentially, and I'm not going to mess with this right now because that'll be time consuming more than I care to, at least for the purpose of this build video, is that we can detach this hinge here and just have this part open up by flexing the mid hinge all the way back to 90. And that'll allow you in and out of here if you're going to lower or raise something. Or you could open this bay all the way down to be like a ramp. And that's how I should fill it in. I need like half blocks in here that don't have a connection. Round is usually the best way to do this, so that you don't have a connection anywhere. Round here will be fine. It won't connect. But not to say the same sideways. You'd have to go here. This would be okay. I think you can do something better with these guys. No. Also no. What if you just had this? It might have to be a plate, though. Unless one of these comes back to it. That. There we go. This could be good here, because it shouldn't attach sideways on that side, but it will attach on these 2 bigger pieces. So it'll be an awkward transition down, but those will work. And if I really wanted to, I could do... I can't have a plate there. You've got a face that connects. Do we have something else that will almost look like it works? No. Something that looks like it should almost work there. Maybe just those round pieces. Do we have the inverted corners that'll fit there? No, because that's too much connection. This could work because it should never actually touch there. Oh, now I have to mirror this all over. That's okay, it's just a trial. And then something that goes in here but won't attach to that side. Because I learned from... Where's my blast doors? I learned from the blast doors that they actually do now attach all over the place. Actually, this blast door is perfect for it. Because it won't attach on those other sides. So you can actually go here. Forward, down, and forward. Down, down, down. Down, 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 actually. Yeah. That actually works pretty well there. Because these other ones, the flat base is pretty obvious, but you also attach on these edges. That's why it would say it attaches all over the place. But these half pieces, it does not. But it will everywhere else. And I was using these edges because their visual collision area and their actual collision area are different. And they would slide through the normal blocks. Well, the normal blocks have had a lot of changes so that their collision mesh is different now. We can actually... Let's take away these guys. Because, yes, those definitely will work. We can put this. Let's do mirror mode back on. Don't want the edge. Let's do the corner. And then we can just do the flat. And then our... We want this to come out again. As straight and then corner. That could work. Would be straight, straight. Let's just do that. And then here again. It's 1, run 2. Then here. And then we can do our edge piece. Down. And we can corner back in. And that way we have a visual seam. That door is separate. And then what I should probably also do is make this hinge here instead. So that part is what moves out. And then I can make this door part larger for the opening. I'll have to do that here just a second. Let's mirror this part real fast. We want the straight edge. And then the down. Then the block again. Corner and straight edge. Edge. And loop back with the corner. That's the one. And there's actually another block right here. And that should rotate around just fine there. But for what I'm talking about on this part, the upper hinges have to go. Oops, I did not mean for that to go, because I think you're free floating now. I hope not. You are. This is where one hinge is sitting, and then you're sitting here. But will you, blast door, connect for me? Maybe. I don't know if those are actually secure anymore. This is... It is, okay. So, there. And then... This is where a hinge... Not that one. These are where the hinges would go. And then I needed something to come up this way and almost meet with this. But not actually meet with it, which is where some plates would go in very nicely. There are some 2x1. There are the tips and then the bases. That's a half. Where are your other ones? There you go. So you could, but you're not actually going to sit that way. Would you connect down there? You would. Oh, because you're the tip. You need the base is the higher one, so you would sit right there. And would you... So it definitely would connect. We'll get rid of that. To these pieces, which is what I want. But what I don't want is for it to connect to that way. But it will there too. Visually, it should be alright as long as we don't actually engage with merge blocks. I could remove those. Also, let's make those the non-connective pieces then. And I could use these tips. And you won't touch each other, but you look like you will. And then I can bring my base all the way up here. Yes, I think that'll work very well. And we put this blast door in before I never see it again. Blast door edge there. Hinge. I do want to flex these hinges before we do much else. You get the part, you get a part. What do we have over here? You get parts. Somehow that stayed correct. Nope, these were also correct. Wasn't paying attention to that my mirror was done or well. But these are the bases which weren't attached. So you were not mirrored. And then I need hinges to go. Not on here. You are not a hinge. You are not a hinge. You get the base blocks and then the hinges go in there. That gets the part. One thing to keep in mind is that these hinge parts don't matter with their orientation, but the rotor parts do. So the rotor parts, let's see here, we're looking for a little line on it right there. That is the 0 line, and 0 is determined by the hinge part. This one's the advanced rotor. Let's drag it a little closer. That's your 0 line. And if we go to your regular rotor part, that also has the 0 line. And that's determined by the part, whereas the rotor part does not. Rotor's orientation is determined by the rotor, or sorry, the hinge orientation is determined by the hinge itself, with the little check mark going to the negative. And we're going to have that go negative on the outside for everything. That is negative there, and that'll be unhappy because I should have put the part in second. Are you going to eject? Bye. That's probably what happened to the other one there. I'm not even going to try to touch you. But it is very unhappy, and my ship would be clinging out if it were capable. But this is a creative mode with no damage. and this is a static object. So nothing's going to do anything to those. Hinges, we got 4 more hinges. I can see over there. We will do, this is right upper bay hinge 2. This is left 2, right 1, and that makes you left 1. All y'all. Actually, I'll leave you guys as is. All my hinge 2s. Still, I want you all off. I want you, few that are attached to attach. And I want no torque and no braking torque on you. That way you don't resist any movement. Upper 1 here, I don't want you to move. So if I do hinge 1, these mid guys, mid and mid, let's set you to -90. So we'll give you a little velocity in the minus direction. You are on. I need the upper. We'll just go upper hinges. All of you need to detach. So that my middle hinges. 2 is off, 2 is off, 1 is on, 1 is on. You have velocity, yes. We want you to go negative. What if I put you on backwards? What if you're a ship? I'll bet you are thinking you're a ship at least. How do I talk to you best? Probably a cargo container, really. Say that as I pull out the wrong thing. You stop being a ship. You are not a ship. I will name you, though. Same thing for you. You should also not be a ship. Left, middle. Did I just completely ignore what I was trying to do here? Convert to ship, yeah. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. So now it opens up and you have access to this area, which I should really just continue to block out with these blast doors all the way down. Blast door, yes, yes. So even this connection can go away, and you can go there. And that way you've got a loading shaft, so to speak, that can go straight down. Same thing over here. Pull this over, this down. You're gone. I don't want to touch that cube, because that cube is holding another hinge on. But this is our floor, it looks like. Which is fine, because if that hinge flexes down, so that can stay just like that. I'll need to do the same to you. We'll work these problems at the same time. Cargo container. You're going to be right upper bay door, and you get to be a ship. And then you opened immediately. You can be a mid bay door. Alright, mid door. Also a ship, so you can also move. And then I also want you to be connected there. I'm going to be right lower door. Also already a ship. You think I'm talking to the mid bay? Maybe I only have those two sections. Yeah. Okay. Yes, because the top ones are just connections. That's fine. So it means we could also deploy this all the way down. Hinge 1, the lowers. So those top ones will just never do anything. But these lower ones, I can also give you a little force. I don't even know how far those should go, but right now they're just going to go all the way down to 90, which is going to be way too far. So really they should only go as far as however this lands. But this will give me the opportunity to shape it here a bit, so that this is kind of, well, kind of flat so you can actually disembark from it. That's the plan, at least. Otherwise, you're going to have cranes and such have to extend. So we want lower hinges, 1 and 1. Let's set you guys lower limit to... Yeah, that's absolute trash. Even if we hit you guys at 0, I think you sit too low. And I don't think I can smooth that out. I would need more verticality than what I have to work with. Let's see. That's... Let's use some ramp pieces. Use actual ramp. You can go away, and you can go here. But that's really going to be in the way of that hinge. This would be better. I don't even know if that'll rotate with that in place as it is. What are you? Are you cubes? You are triangles. Because you have that angular as it goes up. Let's see if that'll even move. I know I said I was going to not fiddle with this, but if this gets going, then that'll look really cool. I want the lower. 0 is what I said, so let's reverse. When you rotate, you will not, because you're stuck on those triangles. What if I made the triangles rounded? Ooh. I don't think that's where you're getting stuck at. What if these triangles were... It can't be that. They would have to be this, but they would have to be lower. Because they're trying to articulate off the middle. So really, you could only be... Where's the little half piece? This guy. And I don't want you up there. Maybe that is where it needs to be. That's just to close off that visual space a little bit. These hinges are there. That. I don't think this is good for anything, really. I could just put this to be a triangle. Or I could put it to be the stairs. variant. Not these stairs, those ones. Even though you don't really have anywhere else for those things to go. I could put more stairs on that next one up. See if you close first. Lower hinge bays 1 and 2. Reverse, because I have you at 0 for your output. And you're at 90 now, so that's good. And then we do the middle hinges. Hinge 1 and 1. You're at minus 90, so your upper was, or is going to be 0. Let's give you, is it 3? 2 velocity. You can go to +2. You can go to +2. Why aren't you moving? 1. Oh. Mid-bay hinge. Mid-bay hinge. That's 2. Mid-bay 1. Torque. No braking torque. We actually do want you to have braking torque. Velocity is 2. Why won't you move? Okay. Probably because of something I have that's in the way. You can also have braking torque because I need you to. The other one moved because it didn't have stuff in the way. What stuff is in your way from bending? Likely this, this, and this. As you flex around. We can restore this tip. It might just be a pipe dream then, how I have this door set currently. Too thin for what I want for it to unfold. Hinge, mid. Left and left. I want the right one to reverse again because you're closing. So that's okay. So I need to seal this area. So if we work the left one a bit more, and we watch it carefully as it opens. That'll flex it to minus 90, which I think is too far for it. We'll just leave it as is for now. But we should be able to have something in there. Probably has to be round pieces. If it'll even let me rotate around. Ooh, I don't know. I don't think you will. Mid-hinge, left. Because I just want some sort of visual seal there. Okay, well that did it. It just looks kind of gross. But I do have hinges there, and it's kind of gross anyways. I'm gonna have to leave it as such. I just wanted to see that as we go. So it's somewhat of a functional item there. I'm not going to worry about a bunch of other setup and whatnot. This will be the one cool guy thing I do for that particular portion of it. Over here, what is best? I think if we had our bridge like underslung through here, facing forward, that would be best because you could have your navigation and everything, especially if you're landing ships up here. Let me grab our ship real fast. A little Viper fighter. Because we could land on these pads pretty easy. Like there's the pad, and it's just a matter of landing on it. So that's the kind of small ship that you would be able to sit down on here. Not very big at all, but amply good for a cargo drone, which would be perfect for what these would be for. Cargo, docking, undocking, resupply. That way it's not in the way of your thrusters at all, and then you could just take off and go, which I think would be something that would be good for a colony ship. That could have your primary hub, you land on it. Oh, I'm liking that idea even more. That's a great idea. So that way you could have just drones on these 4 platforms with these inset connectors. What's a good... I can make a middle if there's not one. Let's do middle there. We'll do middle closer forward. We'll do the middle here. Like that. No, I don't want you to be a triangle. That can go there, and then ideally one of the pillars would have been the conveyor tubing, but oh well. Kind of want the conveyor tubing, see? Not curved, not T-junction, just the straight. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of want that to be seen like that. And then we could do the same thing here, even though you're larger. That's the center? No, we'll put you. Tube, nope, tube, connector. And then we can place this guy. There we go. So that's a larger pad for sure. So it's got 2 on either side. Maybe we pull you away from the nacelle. And that way there'll be less potential of getting torched by anything. And we'll replace these guys down here. That way you're seen, and then... And this landing pad could all be half blocks, really. Or whatever. That'll be a later detail. But that looks pretty interesting. Let's make a bridge next. Because you could have any kind of operations going through here, really. We'll make that 2 thick, and then I can go to half blocks. Could put windows or whatever I want in here. But I just need some sort of visual break. Let's do that. This is going to be the bridge area. So what if we pulled you down with 2x1 slopes? We have some cool angles. We've kind of lost your whole ribbed features going through here, just so we can have more flat surfaces to land ships and have cargo operations on. But I think we can make things work with what we've got. I don't really know how best to add those things back in with what we have. I almost want this to drop down a little bit more, but we lose so much space if we do that. We'll keep it a little more claustrophobic. We'll pull this across. We have our bridge features here. Or I can really even just do... I don't even need the bridge windows. I can just do regular windows if I wanted to. Let me find the new stuff. Do you need to fly that close? Probably. Probably not. I actually don't think that bridge helm works there. I don't think any of these work here. I think I need... conventional glass. Or I could put... There's this one. That'll work. All the way across. Or, hear me out, we backset this one too. No. You go there. And then this is backset. And I can even put lights or something here, which would be appropriate so that it could see where it's landing and illuminate anything that's coming up from underneath. Because this would be not just a bridge for when it's flying, but also could be the command and control center for whenever it's doing ground operations as well. Oh, that's kind of cool. Like, perfect timing to see bridge operations going on at the same time. You see a ship over there coming out. I like that. I think these are still using the old remote control blocks. I don't remember if I upgraded these with the AI blocks when they came out. But they're still trucking along. I think they're broken some of the other saves, but this one still works. And I'm happy for that. Okay. So that's cool. I would definitely want communications bits through here. I mean, even underslung in these giant cavities, that would be cool too. To have antennae, like if this was floating overhead, so it could directionally report things downward. Let's do... I'm going to make a piece that comes out a bit more on both sides. Let's do number 8. This guy. What if that came out? Yeah, you could do that. And that way it kind of looks like it's shielded a bit. Oh, we actually have proper... Oh, where's my... Is it in that column? It's not that column, because that column is no longer the... It's a pillar. I think it is. Interior pillar. I'm looking for you, because I need to update my pillar. Yes. Because we have other blocks that go in here. All these things got changed around, so now I don't know where stuff is anymore. Central pillars, interior pillars, communications, bits, and dongles. That's what I need. I can even do that. Let's do truss, and I'll rotate you inward as well. And I want truss lights. Truss lights, because that way you look like your communications pieces popping forward. I could mess them up to make them look asymmetric, which would probably be cool too. I could get various antennae. This would look cool if we like underslung the antenna on here and had some other pieces. What else can we put in here? I want to flesh out a bit more the body before we start putting too many greeble details in there. Let's go over here and we can work on these guys, because you look atrocious. Absolutely. I don't like that. We'll come down here. What if we... I don't know if I want a round. Can I get away with this? That could still lend us into a blocky aesthetic, but still give us some shape. I'm okay with it. What if on the backside we tapered it the other way so we look like it was aerodynamic or something? Not that we need that on a spaceship, but go for the looks. That's neat. Okay, well, what if those could be thrusters? What if these were air intakes of some sort? What if we did intakes like that? And then we could even pull that around. Okay. I'm liking that. I was going to use this piece here, but now you don't fit anymore. You can still work there. Seven. We'll do a 2x1 slope. And then number 9 has this piece, I think. That should do it for there. And I almost want to put more, yes, and I will, more thrusters going backwards, because if I need finer maneuvers, I don't need massive guys firing off. Which could also help me make that a little more aerodynamic. Is there no way else I can put... These guys can't be here, because you're too tall. Or rather, this sits too low for what I want it. I do like how that is housed, so I do think that's an appropriate height. I just don't like how these sit up too much. Or, what was their thruster damage? No, we'll just leave this. And if I make it a fin, can I make you into a fin? I don't think a fin's going to work like that. Just because we have this here. I also don't like how you're right there. But I do need thrust to push me down. Outside here is best. Oh, what was your damage range? 3, we said. So even if you were here, 1, 2, 3, you don't hurt anything. Anything aesthetically, anything physically. That is how we're going to do it. Get rid of you guys and you guys. 1, 2, and 3. And add our lateral. Same thing here. And we don't really need this much downward thrust, but we have it because it looks cool. And I'm really liking how this is shaping now, because I've flattened it out quite a bit, which means you can also come in. Can I use this? Yes. I'm going to use that. The angle of these warfare thrusters curves very nicely. I like that. You can 2x1 slope in this way. And for you, we probably have another piece. Yes, we have another piece for that. And here, yes. We'll just add those guys in. Thruster, exhaust. And what if you were also some sort of radiating piece? We've got some intake, some output. I like that. You You can just be square. Because I can't push that in anymore. Be nice if I could, but what if we did this in here? Which means we could leave that, and then we could just add this. That way it gives us a reason to be bulked up there and there. You're looking pretty good there. And then that mirrors us off. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. And what I don't need to do is duplicate it a whole bunch. So what I should do is this. Paint tool. Let's go clean. We're going to mark these with blue for your attachment points. I'm going to cut them off and then copy paste so I don't have to rebuild that same thing 3 times. So if we cut you off, cut you, we can just delete. And same thing over here, we can get rid of these ones because you're not attached. And you're not attached. Gone. I can also spray that. And I want to do the same thing over here so I know they're going to be attached in the right places. That's where you attached. I can copy that. Did I want round things? Or do I want angular things? Angular things that look like round things? Angular things that look like round things. We'll try that. Oh, now I have to look to see where exactly you were attached. If I'm looking there, that's where this should be. But it doesn't look like it is. It's my blue pieces. There, maybe? That looks correct. And we're off. That could actually be better. Okay. Yeah, because it looks like it's stuck there to rotate. It gets rid of that internal greeble bit, but I'm okay with that. And then we can do this here again. I'm going to fix these colors for sure, but we'll leave them here for now. Makes it stand out on where these things are supposed to go. So you come here. I'm going to grab you there. I'm on the lower piece here. And I still maintain 3 blocks of separation so that ion thruster doesn't cook. Okay. And then this one, what happens if I just attach it further forward? We're already in the right position. Oh, I need to copy this guy before I do anything because I don't have your mirror. You already have bits. You grabbed you front from the lower. That's where you should be. Nope. And I wish I could just undo, but I can't. I don't want to delete these guys. I could, though. Just because it's a little faster. Only 4 blocks to get rid of. You're gone. Without the mirror, I didn't remove what's on the other side. And I can copy here. Copy and paste. Yes. And that was a pretty good angle to see from. Copy and paste. So that looks good. The only one that's different is this one. I think these rear ones should be a little higher. So that's what I'm going to do for them. Let's, yeah, mirror mode, get rid of these 4 blocks. Unmirror mode. X, you put these rotators back in, which almost means that needs to be set a little bit lower, but oh well. Rotate. Set you. You should sit right there. Because I do want you to be a little higher. Right? There. Yeah. And then I can always manipulate that block. Ew. Is the front one not? The front one's not attached, so it needs to be set in lower. I'm okay with the rear ones being a little bit higher, because that kind of lends to them being offset since they're right next to each other. This front one needs to be dropped down a little bit. But that is in a good place there. You need to be attached higher. So I'll cut you. Put your blocks back in. Here. And then it needs to be set higher. So it was... No, yes, and it's higher. Is it higher by 1 block? Or are you just in line? I think it's just in line. So it is not in the right place. It needs those vents higher. Mirror mode is not on. Let's get rid of you guys and try again. Cut that and rebuild once more. Or replace, rather. This is a lot easier than having to rebuild it over and over. That looks like it's higher now. Yes. Yes. And then these guys, I will pull you away. I do want it attached at that front piece. Like we've got in the other ones. But here. Attach there. You've got attachment points. Why don't you want to, though? Probably because I'm grabbing from here. Let's see if I grab from there. And I look to here. No. Still no dice. What if I just give you blocks across there? Why are you still not connecting? We're not even in range of our door, which is another thing I didn't even think to look of for this guy. Why won't you connect? You should have lots of connection points. Literally all the connection points you want. Why won't you sit there? Don't make me merge block you, because I will. So be it. Yeah, you should just sit right there. But I don't know why you're not wanting to. That should go right there. You should go here without any problem, but I don't see why you don't want to. Do I still have that fighter? And will you even do this for me over here? No. We'll put here. That way we look like we've got some rotor mechanism. I don't see why you're not attaching. But you don't want to go there anymore either. We will grab that Viper. It should be able to throw you around. We'll give you a landing gear in the front, unceremoniously. Congratulations. You're a tow vehicle. And at least you've got very good forward thrust, but you suck in every other direction, except for down. That's why I roll a lot with this guy, so it can use that downward thrust on anything else. You are a station. I can fix that. Convert to ship. Oh, I need to get rid of that one. And I can also do the same thing here, convert you to a station. Or convert you to a ship, rather. Move you in place, throw in some merge blocks, and then we'll be set. Clunk. Forward. Down is where you need to go. Right there, right? Yes. And then merge block. I just saw you. Merge block goes here and here. That way you sit low. Yep. Cargo container gone. There we go. Always use P. Always use P for parking. That was so much easier than having to go in and then find a configuration. Just that you're going to use it for parking, use it for parking, or landing gear operations. And then if not, change the setting. It's such a good setting to have by default. There we go. And that goes backwards to there. Merge blocks. Merge block went here, and we're forward on this. There. we go. P, and we're done again. Very nice. We'll put the Viper out here. Oh, are we missing a thruster? We are. Oh, this must have been an early variant. I thought you had a lot of thrusters down there. Just one big thruster, which is still good. I thought there were more. Maybe the race one had all the thrusters, because I know I needed tons of acceleration to get some of the turns and stuff that I was doing, which meant that it had 2 big thrusters down and 3 forward, and as many of the sideways ones as I could get for stability. Pretty much I just had to roll anytime I wanted to get into another direction, because I had to kill so much momentum when I was doing that. So that looks cool there. That's a big feature. The bridge, at least structurally looking, is in. I'm going to switch back to my... Let's actually change colors now. We've been doing white for a bit. We'll just say that we've moved to a new phase. We've got gray. What are we going to do here? I like that this is exposed. Do we want... I want this pylon to come forward. That's actually fine the way it is. But I do want it to... I don't want a flat space there, necessarily. But I do want it to come up. Can I make it spiral in? I don't even know what I really want. I want this piece to connect up here, if that makes any sense. To connect that way. So if I pull you forward, you are triangular pieces, so I can walk that way. Let's do 2x1s. Do you have mirror back on? Please? No. Okay. Let's... Number 6. Pull that forward. That forward. And from here, we can chop those bits off because we don't need the other ones. What if we use this guy? If I could rotate it. And aim for over there. So you can go here. This actually gets cut back, so we can flip it. Nope. And here. We want it to come forward, and we want it to be coming down too, because right now we're just staggering inward. That up to and then again. I'll probably end up deleting most of this, but at least I can have it in place. And that is an awkward rotation to get through, but it seems like they meant for it to be better. So it's like these two pieces, the I guess end pieces for it, are right next to each other, and then these two are. So you just have to back through them. I think it's like these two and then these two, but I usually end up using these two first and in reverse order, and it almost sounds like most folks do as well. So it ends up getting a lot of hate with how it's set in there. Okay. That looks cool. Because it's definitely turning into a pontoon, which is a neat shape to have there. I could make... I don't really want to make these ones roll over. These ones need to be square. I mean, not square, but the triangle's coming forward and down, if anything. But I wanted that to roll further over. But if we can't have it, then this is what we're going to get then. And I could stagger it also, so it makes a step every time. So let's say, where do I want it to end at, really? Because then I can just pull it back into the hole. That's probably a good place for it to end, which would mean we got to undo all of this work that we just did. All of it. So if we go there, and we can pull these back too. Then we can skip some of these, because I didn't know what I was doing there. Pull that over and over here. Are you not? You are on the ship. Okay. No, no. That's mirrored. Okay. Oh, good. You're touching that little bar. Back here. So if we skip, we can skip a whole line or half line. Let's be bold. This is a big ship. Bold moves. Because it's a colony ship. So that's pretty much the biggest move you can make, is evacuating. Boom. And then pull this back a bit more. Now this comes back, and we can have triangles. We'll finish this rotation off. There. And back to 6s through here. We're gonna cut back this stuff. Everything we just put in. We're back to the white of the ship, kind of. Ooh. We're not going to make it for this. Which would mean this whole piece comes forward. Well, that means we'll have to rebuild it. I know it's already not going to line up. So we'll use this as our stepping off point. That. Where were you? Or you have to be... You don't have to be a square. I want you to be that. And we can just roll the tip in. That goes there, there, up to... Oops. Roll in. And this comes back to there. Dude. Yeah, because we're rolling this in. That's too close, because I didn't take into account this section, which needed to be here. So what I can do is pull that forward a bit. You can be a triangle. We'll do triangle, triangle, and then we start to roll forward. There we go. Because I need it to look solid for that. And this can come forward. And we can roll in here. And we'll pull, yes, yes, up to there. And then same thing here. We want these to come in. Yes, and we wanted to step. Or not yet. That can go there. And I'll put your other half in a second. As soon as I get these guys connected. Yes, and up to down there. Yes, and you're gone. Yes. Okay. And then now we've got the shape that pulls forward for this. Ooh, I wanted it staggered though. That just means that this layer reaches forward more. There. Stagger it. We'll just stagger it 2. We said we were going to do 2. I'm going to do stagger by the 2. Block. 8. 1, 2. 1, 2. And then same thing here, because this way we're square for a lot longer. 1, 2, and then we would staggered in this next layer if we were going to do it, because we might just keep that bit blocky, because we're going a lot more detailed in here than what we did the previous one. And I kind of like the blocky nature of the previous one. It was very simple, whereas here I think we're getting pretty well in the weeds. That's gone. I eliminated that, so you're floating bits, and you floating bits too? I bet you are. So we've got that staggered and coming in. That's what I want to see. Can also stagger these parts coming over. If I push this over and then walk it into here, I don't think I can do that. Because if I did, this would be in line over here, and then this one over there. So we kind of taper in a bit more. I kind of want to do that now that I see it, but we are going in all over the place with this guy. Get rid of these blocks. This starts here. So you're gone. Gone, 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 gone. One thing I will love about SE2 is I can just keep this as a blueprint and then just paste it and always have it exactly where I want it to be, if the pasting and everything works well, because it seems to want to pull center mass of things, which makes it a bit annoying to work with, because sometimes I have very, very large blocks I need to work with, and they just don't play well with what we've got. I was trying to build a big station when SE2 first launched, and the copy and paste was not behaving well for me. So I had to rage quit on it for a bit. But I think they've adjusted some of those behavioral settings. That can come back. Yes, yes, and then this guy is that. Nice, very nice. I think they have adjusted some of those settings for the game, so it won't act that way. This is supposed to come here. Did I just pull it in more? I did. You're supposed to go in more too. Having the ability to make large movements and small movements in SE2 will be critical because we've got the unified grid system. And when I was trying to manipulate stuff, it was only letting me do it at the 25 centimeter level. And when I'm working with massive chunks of the large 2.5 meter blocks, that kind of detail was messing me up every cut and paste. It was kind of nasty. So that's what was infuriating me. But like I said, I think they've fixed some of that stuff. Hopefully you can toggle on and off for the various amount of detail control that you want for it. What if I pulled you back too? We stagger our staggers even. Gone, yes. Okay. We can stagger that, which means this bit gets moved as well. I'm just cutting all the wrong box. That comes forward. So that's good there. So what, this is here? Is that what I'm saying? I want to maintain this line of thought. That was a half block back. You go here. The tip. And then you... Yeah. That's what I want. Because I want these things to be shifting inward towards the front. But we're not really shifting fast enough inward. That's what it looks like to me. Move that, that. There. Hopefully that pushed it over enough. I'm kind of losing myself in the design now. Oh. Did that push it far enough over? Kind of. Because if we follow this back, we need it to go... that should be fair enough there. No, you carve back one more. That way I can just end it there. That would be the end of that pontoon. So that's 3 wide as we come across 1, 2, 3. And then up here we're 1, 2, 3. Because we're trying to come from closer toward the center to further out. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 here, and here too. 3, 3. We're here. 1, 2, 3. There. As we stagger over. I may not even want this one to come that far forward. And that's gone there. So I can put these guys in here. And okay, that's interesting. Let's take a look on the outside. I almost liked it being a big blocky cutoff rather than what I've got here now. That, or I can make this whole thing scooch back more so it's more pronounced. So like leave, let's see if I even want to leave that set where it's at. Let's take a look at this bridge area. That doesn't really interfere with anything. You can't see a whole lot there. And I kind of don't like these. They look good on the outside, but you're losing so much of your downward looking angle. I need to be able to see that area. And I didn't have to go outside to do that. Yeah, because I want to be able to see. I can actually see where those are now. And now I know they're for a fact in the way. So let's see. If I had the copy-paste of Space Engineers 2, I could just cut a big chunk of this out and just repaste it as needed. But unfortunately, I have to keep rebuilding it. Let's rebuild smarter. I get rid of this layer. There. I've isolated that piece. Get rid of that coming back and that coming back. So I've isolated this. Because this is my chunk that I can paste a couple of times in here. And if you went straight down, because I want this to be bulky, dang it. Yeah. It's okay. Oh, we're separated here. I'm going to cut that, paste you. And you have to go there. Need you guys in. Need some of you guys. Squares. Now if I paste you again. See, that's an even more bold step back. I think I want more still. I'm going to get rid of that. How about that now? That's one full block. 2 full blocks. Let's come out. I want to see, why are you being difficult? Because that's not a square block for me to post on. That's the blast door block. Yes, this is what I want. So, yes. I knew I picked the wrong piece there. Get rid of all those. And that. And 1, 2. There. And here. Why won't you paste there? There's something free floating. You'll paste there, but that's too close to the front. There shouldn't be anything else right here. I don't want to merge block you again, and I don't want to rebuild you again, so why won't you paste? Me up. If I grab it from another location. Still no. You just think you're clipping into something? What if I get rid of this last bit? And paste there. Yeah, so you think you're clipping into something back here. And it's probably those blast door blocks which you're getting tripped up on for some reason. I don't know why, because they're not attached, and I don't know why I've got the mirror mode on. Because I definitely didn't want to be placing these pieces yet. Get rid of those ones. I also want mirror mode gone for cutting out this. So now I have the same free-floating piece that I was working with just a second ago. Yes. And then you can sit up here. I drag you across there. Yes, just so I can see it visually. You are going to sit here. Move, move. Cut that and paste you here. Here. Zoom out a little bit more so I can see. Pasting there. And then next one gets pushed in. This is where I was having to cut this little bit. Cut and paste again. Grab the wrong corner. I need this inside corner. Since it's being very fickle. 1, 2. We're supposed to go overhang 1, and we are just like that. Okay. Now we can reattach our mirror mode and blend these blocks back. Back there. Nope. Oops. Well. Oh well, for that one. These come through. 8 again. You and you. That's just going to have to be kind of nasty. Because I think we're wasting too much time on minutia. When we should just be building big structural things, and you can work off of it. That way it can be a living ship and it exists to fit your needs, and then you can learn to build and make all sorts of interesting shapes. Because this line is also removed and gets to be a triangle here. And I think this even dies. then what would you be? I think this was just bracing. That was just bracing. You can come this way. Have some internal pipes or whatever through here too. Punch these in. Was I in the way? Nope. I just saw them flashing beside the head. That way that gets blocked off. That looks pretty good. You're going to need some heavy-duty landing gear. I think they're 3x3s. Dang, that's going to suck if they are, because this is just shy of what I would need. Where's that landing gear at? I wanted these big mag plates, because they look like they're sturdy enough to be used as landing gear. I could still use these guys, and they would slit in here nicely. Let's say you could sit right back there. And that's just enough ground clearance to look cool too. But I don't want to take away space from the inside. So maybe that just has to do. If I put you there, this could go here. And I really don't want these exposed out there. Maybe this is as far forward as we need to go. Because I kind of like the idea of these being doubled up in the rear, where all the weight is. And then one more in the front. That could be good. They don't have... That pillar is usually a interior block for me. That guy goes here, because it used to have the cylinder, and I love that cylinder. I love to work with it. Because it had all of my interior block pieces, but now it's not there. And I'll put this pillar elsewhere, because I need to learn to utilize that. I'll get rid of this LCD. Because we can put these guys under here or something for a bit of look. Maybe it looks like vents or something. Who knows? Fill that guy in. I almost want to leave that. Now, that's definitely got to be filled. This can be filled. I have to leave that kind of ugly. You get filled. Can't do round stuff there. You get this tip because I broke it. And I did find a way to cover that down, didn't I? Round pieces and triangle bits. So triangle bits go here. Got it. And round pieces went here. Is that how they went? Zoom around. Round with the round bit going outside. Round bit going outside. That even looks neat for color contrast, which is another way you could add lots of interest, is color contrast for things. Let's make these interesting real fast. I could have done this from the beginning, but I didn't think of it at the time. I'm going to put lights in here too. Rather the lights be on the outside. But put the lights on the inside. Two, three, 1, 2, 3. You get 3. And then some number 9 piece. that's the one. Yeah, I think that's the one. That way these look like they taper up. And do the same thing over here. Once I've got you, leave you in place. Nope. Then I can put the 2x1 pieces over here next. Oops. That comes across. Alright, I'm liking this a lot. Get the landing pads in. I do need to make them like an asphalt color, I think. We need to figure out what needs to be blue for you. I've got that one bridge on the side. I don't really have any good side docks. I would need a tube to come out for sure. This we're going to dock at a station. Good places for landing there. I kind of want to make an area here in the center for a ship to land. I want to get rid of that and that. I do want to do something more with these guys here too. Just something. Some cowling on the side, or should it go top and bottom? Let's do... something like that, maybe? Although the middle bit looks like it's too busy. Try for some of this. Not the same spiky bits that you've got for yours. And I really wish these were, and they can be, one more apart. So let's do that. We'll make them one more apart. Now that we see that they don't jive with where they're at right now. Is that connected to stuff? Is not. That way I don't have floaty blocks all over. I want these thrusters over one. Let's put that in here. And we have something for those thrusters to mount on. There we go. That cowling matches a bit better. I think too. 1, 2, 3. And then this can have some space to breathe. If we flip this here. We can even do some more of where's the end? There you are. There we go. That way it pulls back very nicely. We'll want to duplicate that here. That's what I'm thinking. That looks pretty cool. And then this has to come forward and in. We'll have to use these guys. Probably pull it back as we pull this shape inwards. We'll have to get around here. We can't afford to go too shallow. So we'll have to come back That's gone. There. There. And then do it again. Oops. Oh, that could look all right. And then we do that again for here. And we have enough space for it. 2x1s. 2, 3, and then the tips. We won't have enough for that same thing all over. The bases, and then number 8, sorry. You can have some heat shielding coming off of you too. That fills those. That fills that. That looks pretty cool. And even though there's no detail going in here, that paint contrast makes it look interesting. And we could do something else to inset or offset stuff. We can even make a rearward connector there if we absolutely had to, because it doesn't really fit the aesthetic, though. I don't think so, because I've got that jump drive in there. What if we moved it up and that connector out? No, I like the flat ship. I like it flat back there. This is just an inset piece. That looks pretty cool. We come through here. Let's get rid of all of this. We no longer need you. We don't really need any of it, because this is our ship. We don't need that center bit conducting us anymore. I can put an in-cut somewhere maybe, but I don't think I need to. We've got enough design language everywhere. Up here we could do like another inset connector, probably like dead center, really. And cut that through so we know where it goes. And we will run it. Let's turn that off so we can see. Let's run that inset connector going backwards. And then we can run a bunch of plates around. We get the flat plates. These guys. That way we can indicate where stuff is. Put that mirror back on. We even have more space to work with than that, so we could put it out there. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that can be like a square. You're on the outside. You also on the outside. 2, 3. Yep. So we'll put you to the outside. 1, 2, 3. And then the flat square. There. And you can have a giant ship dock on top of you too. Or you can construct a crane or whatever. And that's what I would think would go on the inside. You don't need a lot of this stuff, or maybe you do. Like crane works, you can put, let's say, cut off through here. Have a massive engine room. That way you don't see those thruster bits anymore. And same thing under here. We would pull this back. And if that's the case, that's our lower floor. Let's pull this in too. Which means that jump drive does look like it should probably go up one. That way it's not just hanging down there below. Doesn't look like it's quite right for what it was trying to do there. There we go. So that can sit flush in there, and we can see it exposed. We can put reactors or whatever else that we need to in here. This is our floor for the inside, which means we don't need that rail coming through. Put this back. You don't belong. Lots of space for gyros or whatever we need back there. Lots of space for industrial things in here, or even up in these arms. What are you guys? If you're just regular blocks, I can get rid of you. Because I did have a lot of extra stuff. But not all of it. We'll do some red things in here. I just want to paint outside portions red so I can know what I can get rid of on the inside. So none of this, obviously. None of these guys. None of these. And I don't want to paint the entirety of the ship red, because that defeats the purpose of finding whatever blocks I can eliminate as I come through here. I think that was... No? No. Okay, you belong. I did place a block. There we go. But say I did place a block that was incorrect. All of this white stuff is probably going to stay. That can go. Nope. Obviously you can't go. You belong. You guys belong. What about you? You're the front end of this design element here. Which means you can be a parabolic dish, I think I wanted. It's almost got some Millennium Falcon vibes coming through the front here. What if we wanted... Where's my antennae? Can I have a beacon on one side and a parabolic dish on the other? Do I want that inset? Or do I want you up here? Probably want it up there. With some... We'll put these guys down, and I wanted a circular. It's my pillar piece. I'm going to go with the old school truss. Just an antenna there. And I probably could have duplicated that over here. This one definitely can come up. Not that high. So I can put a beacon in there. Let's go back to... Not you. Wherever my interior pillar went. Ah, there you are. You and you. And I don't have a beacon. G. Beacon can go in place of the text panel. In this case, I think the old one looks better there. round things and pillar, pillar, pillar. So antennae looking doodads. This, what's the best way to do this? I want to say just leave it open for the most part, because you can even, while in transit, have ships come under and dock with you here. Because where is that connector? This can go to, not a sorter. This can go back here to be part of your spine with everything else. I'll just drag conveyors through because we're not finalizing stuff. Or you can have piping and oxygen and whatnot here. Habitation would probably be good for the front area. Through here, you can even put industry, like I was saying. It's 1, 2. We do 4 tall. Yeah. Let's put something back there. Put our mirror mode back in, because we can put. I've got these there. Yeah, because you could set refinery there. That probably needs to get removed. Space 1, 2, and another refinery. Mirror, go away. Just for the moment. So we want these rotated. Rotated. That way you could have big industry there. This can even be moved up to the deck. And that way it's not in the way here. Because we have the armored pieces and we can keep it airtight that way. Because this top part is our deck. And we could have these guys coming through. Where's our industrial refineries? How did you look? You look cool too, but I'm going to leave those ones in there. And then same thing with assemblers. That's a survival kit. It used to have the assemblers on it, but not anymore. You're now the assemblers. And these can go back here even. So they can go wherever, or if you want them standing vertically as well. That way you can come around back, do maintenance. You have room for that. This big open space, what do we want to do here? If you really want to make these things airtight, how about some... Can block this guy, not with that. Block that. Because this will be the start of industry stuff that you want to see. We'll go with your airtight hangar doors again. Because I think these would fit there, actually. And do you have the window? Here, this window makes sense. As you can be on that lower area and see it. We're connected over there, here. So now you can be on this lower area and look out and across. Did we not have the mirror? No, we did not. It's okay. Cut these. Airtight hangar doors. 5. Drag those across here. And what would be good here? Windows is what I want. But if we come along to the back side, we still not mirrored? There you are. Come along to the back side, we can just run another window through here. Or whatever else. because that'll start to make that airtight. These aren't really airtight, but they could be, like so. And then this whole exterior piece will never actually be airtight. But you can always fix that with some... what can we fix that with? This is a big loading bay. So maybe even this bay itself isn't all the way across. We could make it that. So we match up with what we've got on the outside. No to you. That. So you're not a block. You guys can be not blocks. This is the end of the airtight stuff that I care for. There we go. And I can come this way so that outside bay comes through to you. And then this can just come through as part of a spine piece. You come across. And you can come across. So that was in the wrong place. This goes here. That's not closed all the way, but that's fine. But now you've got this that can open up, and it would, I guess, close, sci-fi seal, close, and then you could have this one open up to go on the inside. Or we could do... We've got big gates now, don't we? Like more gates. Let's look. Goodbye, vent. This is the classic gate. We've got a smaller gate now. But it's still very wide. You wouldn't go there, but you could go right there. That would be cool. Not on that side, but right here is where you're going. That would go there. Small, tall gate. How do we not have power? Gotta have power. You're off. On. Oh, we disconnected the battery. And I'm stuck in here, and I don't want to burrow out. There's a jump drive, another jump drive. Let's put some reactors in here for you. A battery would do. But large warfare reactors. And we can put them on either side, like part of the power plant. There was a sparkly thing that can go on that too. Let's go ahead and save while we're at it. There's a sparkly bit that could go on there too, for whatever you want to design your engine room, but those reactors should give us power. You have thruster power out there now. And how did I escape? Because I want back in. Through here? Yeah. Do you just open? Yes. So you guys can just open. And then I can be in here. And that means there should probably be another door. 8. Little door. Not these. That's probably more appropriate. Narrow half. I'm just going to give me a standard door. Not going to go too super crazy, even though we kind of are. There. And then this gate kind of goes forward into whatever else would be in here. So we've got some industry. We can put tanks hanging on the outside. That would be cool too. Let's go hang some tanks out here. I mean, we could build the tanks onto the side. Not you guys. We've got these guys now. These would be cool pieces just to have sitting around. I mean, not for if they explode, but just to have more looks for things. 2, 3, 4. Actually, you might even look good just sitting out like that. Just some round bits in there. That could be cool. Or some hydrogen for you. You could put more bits wherever else, but we're kind of eating up a lot of space in there. Which means this wouldn't even be a doorway because you wouldn't support it. But you can still see what's going on here. I like that. That looks cool. We've got some structural problem going on here. Get rid of you and you, because we need you and you to be pieces. Let's taper back down. That works, and we're mirrored, so it's still good. I wanted lights. We're going a little crazy with stuff. So I think that's good. I'm not going to put lights in for it. I do want to do a quick paint job. Let's go with lessons learned from previous things onto this thing. I was doing the little build study on the Keen automatons, miner and base, and the little drone that comes off. So everything's lightly armored with some simple shapes cladding it. That's kind of what I tried to do here. Be very simple. But everything has like a base inner tone of a gray color. So if we do... Let's do this as a base. We're going to hit our subgrids here too. Kind of see what's on our main grid and not as we paint it. These are our subgrids here. Control-Shift-P to paint everything at once. And then I want to take your blue. We've got clean armor. I'm going to default my blues. Clean armor, blue, and the paint gun. And then I saw in your update, you were trying to do the duplication, or you were trying to mimic the Keen starting pod with your starting craft. So we've got gray, and then we want blue and white. So blue for the most part, and then white stuff, like a couple of white stripes coming through. Maybe even a central white stripe. So if we do, those things can be gray. Let's turn this all blue. How big is that? That's 3 whites. It's a massive stripe. Hold on. Hold on. What if this is a racing stripe? A racing stripe for a slow colony ship. Why not? Why not? And then I can go... Where's my blue? Yes. And I can fill that in. Because this is so big, our stripe, instead of just making it massive, I'm just going to make... Oops. I'm going to make 2 of it instead. This is going to be yellow caution. Probably going to be gross, isn't it? Oops. Now, blue clean here, blue clean. There. There. That's mirrored. That's mirrored. That looks good. We've got white at the moment. Let's go to blue. We're going to go under here with blue. That should actually be darker gray, I'm thinking. Oops. Got a little too high on the jetpack. So blue racing stripe. Go dark gray with both parts, because we're moving parts in here. Why not? This might be okay. White. Because even that starter pod had white coming down the outside, and that's what this is going to duplicate. Why not? Go back here, gray, gray, and you will also be white as you come down. So that entire wall on the inside could be white. And then what are you going to be? We'll probably make it gray or something. Let's go to concrete. You're concrete for sure. Because we got to have something to land on. Same thing here. We're going to make you concrete. Love this paint tool. I'm so glad it's standard in SE2. We get all these textures for things, and we just build from the get-go, having a lot more fine control. That'll be very cool to have straight from the start. Let's go back here. Oh, not concrete. Clean. This will be clean armor. This will be something darker for those antennae coming out. I'm pretty sure. This can all be blue. What about these nacelles? I think the nacelles should be darker. Trying to think. The thrusters were actually blue on the ship. The starter ship, little Atmo thrusters are blue on that. These are going to be different colors, the pillars and then that conveyor. Just want them to be noticeably different. So I could make the thruster itself blue, but this piece right here is definitely not. And same thing with these. This is like air intakes. I didn't do anything to these thrusters up top. And I almost want to leave them gray. The light gray. And then we can make the other panel pieces blue. You can stay gray, you're gray, gray, gray. And that. That looks neat. These ones, just as an alibi, you can be blue, because you kind of complete the shape that way. That looks good. We'll do the same thing 2 more times. That way that big thruster stays as it is. Back to blue. Back to dark. Back to blue. Blue there. Blue, blue, dark. Dark clean's not so bad for this. So that looks pretty cool. We'll do it one more time. Vents there. You. And vents here, which are more distinguished because you can actually see them. This can come across. I'm liking that. This is coming out really well. That's substantially larger than what I anticipated. But as I was saying on even my Titan Trek playthrough, the large grid ships just seem to keep growing. Even if you wanted them to be small, they just keep going bigger and bigger, which is, I guess, kind of the nature of it. To get more detail out of a large grid ship, you need a larger surface to work with to build that detail in. And then it turns into a monstrosity like this. And to think that we built all this off of how this back structure looks, and this back structure was substantially larger than what we have now. So kind of keep that in mind on just how much even this little ship, I say little, let's figure out how many PCU it is. It's not even anywhere near done, so that PCU cost is bound to rise. It does have those superfluous hinges all over the place, so that is going to be something else. But generally, I like to keep my ships, and this is coming from public server think, is as PCU as efficient as possible. That's why I don't have subgrids. I don't have cool guy rotor guns or anything else like that, because that eats a lot of PCU. So if I can keep a ship under 5,000, then I have more PCU to work for other things. And if my base is that much, then it's going to be a blob. This is a ship base, which looks really, really cool. I'd be okay with this being 10,000, but in all honesty, it is probably around 15 and not even done. Let's take a look here. You are... Oh, you're under 10 for now, with no accoutrement on the inside, no functional anything. This would be a very cool base. I like this. I like your thinking with that. Having a big colony ship base. No guns on this yet, so it couldn't defend itself. Where would they even go? I don't know. I don't know where you would put them. Because all that top surface is for landing craft. And this whole side is for thrusters. You don't really have a good place to put guns, even for self-defense. I mean, that's what all the drones would be for. So if you had this sitting at 10K on a public server, those drones would probably be 3 each. So there's more in drones that would do your bidding to sit just on those top connectors than this ship itself. And that's a lot of PCU. I wish we could have more, but I know why there are limits. I am why there are limits. We'll make these dark. That can be dark. This could be dark too. I'm okay with this being light. Light all around. I do want... You can go away. Go back to blue here. That can stay. Did I want the underside? No. 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 This needs to be a dark gray, is what I was thinking. This back section. All dark gray. Make you think it's the engineering area. It is where all of our thrusters are coming out. How far did that come down? To you. To you. That light gray up there looks fine. Just keep playing with this dark gray. We'll let it grow on me for a second. See what happens. And that's gray. This is blue. I'm gonna keep those thrusters that lighter color. The underside of the ship, the drop pod, is all dark gray, and I like that. As like a general rule of thumb for a lot of my ships, I will put the underside darker. And that to me just says that this thing does atmospheric entries and it's a different color. So it kind of plays off the heating tiles on the spaceship, the space shuttle, because those were designed to be heat resistant. So they stand out from the rest of the space shuttle, which is white. We'll put you guys to be dark too. And I've always kind of liked that look, especially with, there's something elegant about just a simple black and white design for things. And it's really hard for me to duplicate. And if you do see it in the wild, it's like, yes, that is beautiful, and it's what you would want in that simplicity, especially for your spaceship. That color, because sometimes it's super easy to get carried away with the colors of things. And it's a very easy way to add interest to your ship. So even I think like that bottom one should be lighter. Let's make these dark. This one should be dark at least. But yeah, the areas of interest can be changed very easily with just a little bit of coloring on the ship. And I think that's something that is hard to do well. I'm even going to change this here. I think that's something that's hard to do well, and I know that's something I struggle with too. But color can make a big difference. A little shape, a little texture can play a huge difference in the design of the ship. Do I want that to be too deep? Let's make it 2. I'll take that. This. That way we have a larger landing tile or heat-resistant tile area. And that's why it's important not to get carried away with too many colors and textures on a ship. At least I don't think, unless I'm trying to learn, rather. That way you have space to let stuff breathe, and you can actually see it take shape. Like here, this little bit, I want this to come through, but not right there. So I can put a plate for it. A little triangular plate, and that covers that right up. This is an excellent design piece, so it's not just for outlining caution areas. Where's my triangular bit? There we go. Bam, just like that. I can have 2 sides of color. There and there. Done. You are also going to be white, or this lighter color. Might be too light, it looks like. Oops, wrong one there. Is this the wrong color? Yep. clean. I'm going to change that color back around to 3 tones of gray, looks like. This was a little too white. And same thing here. This needs to be gray, but that needed to be white. And now, or this lighter gray. Back to light gray. Put our panel in here again. Yeah, we're the right color. We're going just a tad bit darker. I'm going to leave that as is. But now we can chip off those little bits that would have been darker. And that looks okay in the back, I think. That looks fine through there. This, we've got the secondary gray. You're going to be secondary gray. Which is a little darker than what we had. That's fine. You are going to be much darker gray. That way you can stand out. We'll go back up here for our secondary gray because you move. Same thing here. And then you get to be our darker gray. And you didn't like the curve pieces? Did you not rotate through those curves? Did I try that? Let's take this color, not that one. This one. Actually, you would be the darker. Now I can see you binding on this. Which is why I did that. Okay, so I did go through that thought process already. Yeah. It's unfortunate that there's a big gap like that in there, but that is what it is. Okay. I'm digging that. I'm digging that. This is the darker gray. I wanted that. I'm going to do these bits in the darker gray. A little bit of interest on those. And then same thing, stuff in here. Yeah. Dark, 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 dark. And did that get mirrored? Not quite. You sit up. And then we want to go back to blue. And is the rest of that all blue too? Yeah. That'll all be blue. That's going to be a highlight for the outside. I'm going to leave that light gray, or whatever this gray color is. Again, another little piece of interest. And if I wanted to be interesting on top of this too, you see how there is a weld line that comes through here as I paint things? That weld line you can make show up if I make this paint ever so slightly different. So this is what it is now. If I turn like this to that, this is indistinguishable to us, but to here, it's completely different. And we can get weld lines to maneuver around. Let's make it there. There. So we can make weld lines appear on the different pieces, even though the colors look very, very similar. But I don't want to pollute my paint palette here. We'll get rid of all the false blue. You're going to stay gray. That one was my mistake. You're going to stay gray. But this will be back to blue on this line. Paint gun, very tool for getting those little blocks there. Oh, looks like we missed you and you. And you guys are the dark gray. Oops, I did not do any of that right. Color picker. Looks like I missed these guys too. I'm starting to pollute my color palette with the blues and grays as I was picking them. Moving them around because this is supposed to be black, I think, on that color palette. And really that should be solid blocks in there. I did change how this was being utilized, so that one's on me. These guys, I like the dark ones because they come off of there. I don't have anything for the top ones. Let's take this color though and do duplicate this. Because it looks pretty neat. Rule of cool. There's no reason for this other than it looks pretty neat. Although I don't want you interfering with that jump drive there. There we go. That looks pretty cool. And we've got 3 colors in the back there, which is different. Let's make these lines up here. Let's make these go not all the way across. How about that? And how about we skip you too? And you also. Break it up a little bit. And if we break you up, blue and blue, but we do want white back there. Breaks that up. I think these should also be bordered in that same thing. So we'll do that, the same hazard pattern. Look at the hazard. Yellow, yellow. And we already know that we're going to need these flat pieces. We'll see what we get to first. Half panels first. We'll go on the outside. We are mirrored here. We only have to do it a few times. I don't have stairs or anything for them, but probably should have stairs. Probably should have a roof access or something. But we're getting pretty far into the weeds into this build, and it's getting a little long. So I kind of want to just finish up for you here, and then we'll have another ship to riff off of for later. Which rotate? There you go. There we go. Now those pop. That's very cool. We've got these in. The inside's going to look god-awful, though. I guarantee you. I think it should be more blue. Because we have red pieces on the inside. We can paint that different. Let's just hurry and paint things real fast. I'm going to leave those gray. Those refineries can stay gray. Make them stand out a little bit. But you can see our roof is a different color there. Because that's the actual cargo deck. We could put beams going through for like a gantry. That's what this could even look like, is a gantry, if we wanted to flush that out a little bit. Back here, this wall can be blue. And you can all be blue too. Even though it's supposed to be the dark gray color, we'll just make it blue. Unless we want to continue this, which is the darker and then the lighter coming through. No. We'll just make it blue. And then because this is now weird, we'll put panels in. Flat panels should be this way. That's centered. That's the one. We'll just put those panels in so we don't see the blue. So I think that works pretty well. That is a massive starter ship, but it's kind of a blend of different things. I didn't get your spiky forward rail piece head like we had before. I kind of leaned into that one, and it worked very well over here. And what is that? I don't know what you are, but sorry for the blueprint that had that. But having that head kind of echo what you did over there is still pretty cool. Having those vents everywhere, as that's how I interpret what those are. Sticking with some very simple colors, the blue on there, and then ion thrusters. The spiky radiator bits around here we went heavily with. Makes it look very aggressive, very cool. This one being more of a starter ship or colony ship. A little less aggressive on things, rounded stuff out a bit. Still kept your thrusters and the little radiator vents around those shrouds. And since you were saying this is supposed to be more of the starter ship for things, we leaned more into those shapings and colors and designs so that you've got the blue, the darker color on the bottom, as that drop pod has that entry. And then we just kind of kept the blue, white, and gray as we went around. A little bit more detail back here for some of the engine works, just hinting at what things could be. Some communications bits, the antenna. You can throw an ore detector in here wherever. This is largely unfinished, just throwing bits in. Hydrogen, oxygen. There should be an H2O2 generator in here. If you wanted parachutes or whatever else, that should be fine as well. Same thing with walkways, possibly. You could push all of this back and have a walkway, or whatever really you want. Something to probably open these doors would be nice. Button or something so you could get in if you're flying in. Or stairs even from the underside so you can crawl in if you don't have any hydrogen. But that looks pretty cool. This is more of your industrial, more of your planet settling craft, if that's what you're trying to go through or go for that design. And it's fairly cheap on the PCU since it's largely large and hollow. At least that's what I tried to go for on it. But that looks pretty cool. That was another interesting build. I tried doing something like this before and I gave up on it. I just didn't know enough at the time. Didn't discipline myself as I was building it, and it kind of ran away and I gave up on it. But this one, I'm glad that I didn't. And I think that's largely because I had a bigger purpose for it now. So there we go. That's an interesting design for a ship for you to riff off of, or you can have this. Love to see what you guys would do with it, and if you make any modifications, let me know, because I'd love to see any of those kinds of changes that you have in the ship. Let's put it over here so we can do one more pass for it. Got to name it something too. I have no idea what to name it. Pioneer. Uh, uh, that's number 2. Definitely not going to fly. Let's zoom out. Blueprint that guy. I can throw that on the workshop later. Let's pick you up and throw you next to your cousins right now, as they wildly grow in size. Yeah, see, even making a couple little changes to it, jumped it up to almost 10,000 PCU. Stop moving. Put that guy right there. Bigger and bigger still, each of them. But different functions for different ships. Very cool. I love it. We've got the blueprint. I'll post the videos and the blueprint coming here soon and a few more pictures. So until next time, go forth and build great things. See you then.